got a squeezing,
So you want that little chair right?
I don't know, do I?
No, you don't want to
You
do
want
that.
to come
You wanna-
here?
You don't want to be, that's not the spot to be. Banging your knees against the end of the table.
Oh, yeah, that one feels.
I am gonna sit in the audience because otherwise I'll be disruptive to you guys.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, go
You
get
just
some.
want to ask your email.
Now that you have a real person
I'll
here.
say it.
Yeah,
Oh, thanks for filling in.
And then,
Yeah, and then this, the clicker works, but it's weird.
okay.
You'll just see it with
Okay, so, we have a number of late items for the meeting. There's some supporting documentation for item 4.2, which is essentially this, the major projects summary. We have item 6.2, which is some background material on how the City of Vancouver handles mural projects. And item 6.3, which is an appeal from the tourism Bowen Island. So are there any other lead items? Seeing none, could I call for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
And seconded? Me. And all in favor?
Yeah, it's fast unanimous.
Yeah. So this is a mini meeting of the Snug Cove Improvements Working Group. We have a number of members who are not able to be with us today. So the agenda is approved. Adoption of the minutes. Are there any changes required to the minutes? No? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Seconded Bonnie. All in favor? Yes. There are no public comments, but we do have a guest. Jody Lawrence from the Tourism Bowen Island. This is a request regarding, I'm going to move this forward in the agenda so
Sure.
Jody doesn't have to sit through the entire meeting. So this is a request from Tourism Bowen Island regarding the use of the Van Els kiosk on the pier. And Jody, can you sort of walk us through what it is you're asking us? We've got the backup material, but it's always helpful to hear directly.
All right, so Tourism Bowen Island, Destination BC they had a innovation grant that was due at the end of last year. And a lot of the grants apply, it's all about enhancing visitor services. So I applied, I applied on behalf of Tourism Bowen Island, and the project was twofold. One was based on our first year of dealing with visitor services and what we were learning. We saw that there was a need to try to interact more with visitors as they came off. That was to help deflect the burden on the library and the restaurants and the stores because people weren't always seeing the Blue Cottage and making it there. So we saw a need while we were doing our roaming services, and we could stand at the corner that we would like to have a more permanent, more visible structure. So that was one of the aspects of the grant application. And then the second part was we also noticed that when visitors were leaving, they're often waiting. We saw that the Dick Van Elst kiosk was being underutilized. Because when people arrive, they're kind of pushed, coming off the ferry. BC Ferries will even actually tell people, get off the road, move. So people are kind of pushed when they arrive, and they kind of arrive at the intersection, they're kind of, oh, okay, now what do we do? So we've seen that, and if we're not there, then they wander off. And then we see when they're leaving, they're kind of just, what do? They're waiting, there's a lack, and the kiosk wasn't being used. And Murray Atherton had the impression, and that's where I first emailed you, Bonnie, the other day, just trying to clarify, because we had the impression that we were kind of managing the kiosk, but then I thought, I better clarify that. So Destination BC funded our first, they gave the priority of funding to the mobile kiosk. And we worked on that for a few months, and for various reasons it didn't work out. We didn't have the land. First of all, we were gonna have Union Steamship land, and they decided they didn't want us. Then we applied to the library, but they decided they didn't want us. And then there's the whole Cove Commons thing. So there is, that area is transitioning. So now that we're into the season, we decided, let's wait and maybe we can work with what's happening with the Cove Commons. So then, I wanted to go back to Destination BC because we were given $6,500. And we kind of don't want to give the money back. So then we thought, well, let's do the exit engagement. So that doesn't require any staffing. That would be something that where people are waiting to board the ferry. We're trying to get them to have last positive feelings and engagement with Bowen Island. Things as simple, in the proposal, there's things as simple as, share your comments, post to social media, what did you do today, what was great, the kiosk, the cutouts, where people put their face in the slug, like we've got the slug one, it's kind of just a temporary one, people love that kind of thing. So we wanted to see, I want to go back to Destination BC and see if they will let us use the money that they were letting us use for the mobile kiosk. Can we do it for the Exit Engagement Center? Which in my opinion is supposed to be an innovation grant. This is highly innovative, I think. Nobody else in the visitor services is doing something like this. And we've got a captive audience, and we have a way to engage and enhance the visitors' experience of Bowen, just when they're leaving and waiting and have nothing better to do, waiting for the ferry and that kind of thing. So that's when I emailed you and asked clarity. Before we go back to Destination BC, can we create an an exit engagement center here? I wanted to make sure that this is possible, and then that's where the committee came, and I'm still uncertain about, well, I guess one dialogue, is this possible? How does this work?
The $6,500 from Destination BC, how would you see that being spent if you were given approval to use the kiosk?
I would have to well, because the emphasis as much as they loved this whole proposal, and people at Destination BC, wow, we love this, but they saw the priority for that money to go to mobile kiosks. So that's where we've been focusing. Now I've got to shift focus. I need to price things out, and I need to I haven't got a definite plan of how that would be utilized. I suspect they might not give us the full money, but I have to price things out. I have to come up, this is just a concept at this stage. We want to get people interacting, we want to get people sharing, we want to get people posting to social media. I haven't fleshed this out to see exactly, except for some ideas here.
So one of the main ideas is this sort of departure wall where people are recording their thoughts or...
Yes, and it can be as simple as, Facebook does it in their buildings and stuff like that. Somebody, and I can't remember who, has already expressed concern that if we just have a big notice board up there, people are going to put profanities or put negative things or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's fair enough. So I haven't, maybe it's not a simple blackboard, maybe it's something else. So like I said, I haven't gone beyond hearing that comment and thinking what it might be. Maybe it would be a digital messaging way. So and looking and managing who's going to be monitoring and managing this, all those kinds of stuff. I haven't spent time doing that yet because I wanted to get approval or consent to move forward, asking for this, and then spending some time actually fleshing it out. What exactly do we want to put there? How big is a blackboard going to be, for instance, if we're doing that?
So Kathy,
Can I just confirm, I mean, that the kiosk itself belongs to the municipality
That's correct,
at this point?
yes.
And Bonnie, in terms of the interior wall space, there isn't a lot.
Well, no, so Jody, we did get that new display case.
Okay.
And we have the old one, if you wish to have that, but I think Kevin Manning was approached, but he was away.
Okay.
So we have the old one, but we just got one that fit, because the other one was a bit large and
Yeah.
kind of came over the window.
Yeah.
So there's that spot is filled, and then the other, there's the big map. So I'm just wondering about space, and then the one space, as you just enter in, and it's this wall right there, there's a little plaque. So I'm assuming that really that would be the only open space that we would have available. I don't know what dimensions we're looking at there. It's not large.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a
So-
large area.
So this is where I'm still uncertain, I think Murray's uncertain too, about, he thought that the kiosk, even though the fundraising had been done and that the First Credit Union built it, that it had sort of been given to Tourist Bowen Island to use, but then given these things, I'm starting to get, okay, that's not the case. You know, Murray's talked about taking that map down and moving it, and so I don't know, I want some clarity about what's going on.
Well, you know, and unfortunately, like now, we have this great collaborative service agreement, but that's just relatively new, so we didn't really have any sort of collaborative service agreement with the Tourism Bowen or the credit union on how the space is going to be utilized. I think it's just always our understanding that it's infrastructure now, so it is part of the municipality's infrastructure. That's my understanding.
So, Murray, did you?
Yeah, well, I think if somebody wants to give you money, we would never stand in your way. Okay, so anything you can do to get funding from somebody, we're highly supportive of this. As far as how the kiosk is used, if you come up with something clever and creative and you want to try it, when you have the actual thing together, I think it'd be highly unlikely that we'll say to you, wow, is that ever operates? I don't think that we're that deeply committed to what's on the walls right now. You're involved in tourism, it's a tourism thing. You're not going to take down a tourism item. You know what I mean? You're not going to work against your own interests, and the interest of that is for tourism. So if you come up with something clever that you want to do, I mean, the idea of the cutout face of the slug and all that sort of stuff, sure, if it works. And like you say, this is innovative. You want to see what will work as exit engagement. I think we should give you as much latitude as possible to do whatever you want in there. And if you do something really silly, you're going to figure it out.
Okay.
I was wondering if there might be any potential connection with the bike barn project. Because I really am thinking
Well-
in terms of the constraints that Jody would be facing as far as the available space to put stuff on those walls. Even if you take that map down, it's not a lot of space.
No, but if you're engaging for specific periods of time, you can, I don't know about using portable stuff or something that folds up against the wall, or, you know what I mean, that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
You had a 3-panel screen that became 1 panel against that wall where you had space for 1 panel, but now you pull it out like an accordion, and when you're using it, you have 3 panels, right? So you've, in essence, built another wall for during that process, like innovative stuff.
yeah, well, exactly, and like the cutout thing, I've already kind of thought like an accordion kind of thing where it comes from the wall or something comes out, and then people, because there's a beautiful backdrop of the mountains, and so, you know, I'm trying to think of using that space, not just not the wall space, but
Physical space.
what might, how could that be shaped?
Yeah.
And like, you know, hoarding fold out or something like that, where people could pull down a little slug face and they get there.
Yeah. So what?
And this would be for next summer? Or you-
Well, no, I mean, we gotta use the money. This money was granted to us for this year. So, I mean, this is, I am approaching you late, and like, I apologize, because we thought we were doing the mobile kiosk, and we've been working on that for a few months, and it's got one issue after another. So So there's no way we can do the mobile kiosk, so that's why I'm trying to go back with this idea that was already proposed to them. Hey, can we use some of the funds for this idea? So this would be implemented as soon as possible. If they say go ahead, I think we would have to do it, or some of it at least fairly quickly. But like I said, I don't want to step on toes. I wanted to get approval that this is something that we can do, and you know.
Have you asked the straightforward question of them, could we have an extension?
I haven't asked the straightforward conversation yet, no.
It might be worthwhile because, I mean, in our experience and my experience in my work life, for things to be delayed is not unusual. And that could give you some breathing room because, I mean, yeah, it's great to get money to do stuff, but it's not great to get money to do stuff that's kind of last minute and not well thought through. Not that what you're proposing would be, but just it could give you a little bit of breathing room to do something that you really, really want to do.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. I can certainly ask that. But it would still be using money from them that has been granted to us for this year. So this would be something that ideally we would want to implement as, like it, because it's not dependent on any staff, like the mobile kiosk would need a staff person. We don't have, the summer students have gone, we don't have staff. So this is in a way self-contained or sufficient that a visitor can, on a Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock or on 8 o'clock on a Friday night, you know, be doing something there. I mean, that's the idea. So.
I think that this is infrastructure. This is material that can be used from year to year, right?
Yeah, no,
So
the idea.
You get the money now, you get it made now, it's there forever, hopefully, or for a longer period of time.
Right.
And so if it's something with some portability to it that can be taken away for the winter when it's going to get damaged or weather beaten and that sort of thing, sure, you can probably go through $6.5 grand pretty quick.
Well, I suspect they wouldn't give us the whole amount, but
I think it
but
could-
anyways, I'm just trying to salvage
Yeah,
and
it would
do
depend how
something.
aggressive you want it to be, right?
Yeah.
And how thoughtful and what quality level you want to go to and all of that sort of stuff. But I think that if you're trying to create something within the kiosk area that people could engage with, I mean, think of exhibitions at aquariums or anything else, you know what I mean? Something sticking outside the door. They spend a lot more than $6.5 grand outside the gondola or wherever with stuff to engage people. So I would think that you could do as much as they'll give you.
Have you talked with Rethink at all about this?
Not about this, no.
Might be worth it,
Yeah.
because they had all sorts of ideas when it came to the development of the municipal booth for branding, and they have good connections in terms
Yeah,
of.
no, that's a
people.
very good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. I mean, they're already, they've offered to help us again with the brochure, which is awesome. So, yes, absolutely. Yeah, actually, Marie, when we were still playing with the mobile kiosk thing, we were gonna get them involved in that. But, yeah.
Kathy?
I just wanted to make sure that when it's ever decided, it's run through Bonnie as well, because I'm hearing it may be a temporary structure or it may be permanent, and there's an impact on annual staffing resources and operations if it is a permanent structure that the municipality has to maintain. So if you're adding something on, it's on municipal land and so there would have to be some sort of agreement in place as to who maintains it moving forward.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just an important discussion.
Okay.
And I liked what our mayor said is about just the seasonality and the wind that happens down there at times. So just make sure that the weather is considered, which it sounded like you were considering anyways.
Yeah, I would think
Yeah.
of it as a seasonal thing. I would think that this would be whatever it is, goes away in the winter, comes out more in the summer when you're dealing with tourism, because things get beat up so badly.
No, well, believe me, I know about the wind. that's part of the mobile kiosk issue, you know, we didn't want to just do a tent, because you can't just do a tent down in the Cove, everything gets blown away. As the library found out very quickly when they tried to move their tent. Sorry, what was I going to say? Part of Tourism Bowen Island's objectives, though, is to increase tourism throughout the whole year, not just in the summer season, because that's helping, you know, economic development, just not focusing until we are trying to really promote. People come here in the winter, you can stay in a cozy place and have a fire, you know, go out to a restaurant for, you know, that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, part of our goal is to make sure when people come here that there is things to do. Like we had last week, you know, we're it's hard sometimes because we're a small community, but we have people at Tourism Bowen Island, Tourism Vancouver, directing international visitors to come here. They told these French people, 3 French people arrived last Tuesday, I think it was, to go to Artisan Square. Well, everything's closed at Artisan Square on Tuesdays. So I have to try to explain to them. And then I try to have to salvage their visit and say, oh, but you could do this. So it's hard sometimes trying to promote tourism and trying to bring people here, and then they come here and like last Thursday with the power out, and just like, and people arrive, oh great, now what do we do? And it's just like, okay, well, we'll go do this.
Have you ever gone to a small town in France on a Tuesday afternoon?
Probably more in August.
We got nothing on them.
Oh, but you can drink wine. You can always drink wine.
Anyway.
One little restaurant open down there, yeah.
So it is a little bit hard, like tourism, the busy season, but then we're trying to promote off season, but then we want to make sure when people come here that there's stuff for them to do and also, you know, and it's like,
I guess the concern is that whatever gets put in there is going to withstand the elements, it's not going to get wrecked. So
Yeah.
if we get to some rough weather, and we will, that's kind of, it's a managed process if there is something there. So let me take a shot at sort of summing up where we're at. It sounds as though we're okay with Tourism Bowen Island exploring how to use that space, and for you to do your bit with Destination BC to see what can be salvaged from your grant application. But that whatever you intend to put in there, you should run by Bonnie beforehand, just to make sure there aren't any issues that you haven't anticipated and that we wouldn't anticipate, but Bonnie, because she has to keep an eye on how things work down there, would be able to offer some advice. Is that fair enough? Is that?
Yeah, I think we're we're extremely supportive. Anything you can do to enhance tourism, that's your job, damn it. Go do it. We're not going to stand in your way. And that exit engagement idea, I think, is very clever. It is a way of promoting tourism. That last feeling as you're walking away.
Yeah. And it's not getting yelled at for being parked on crosshatch.
Get rid of that negative buzz. Well, the nice thing that people hear as they're getting away is, no, you don't have to pay to go back.
Yeah.
Yes.
do you know how many times we get asked that?
Yeah.
What is the deal with that? Why doesn't?
Well, the thing is, but it gives us a free opportunity to express a very positive thing to people on their way out the door.
I know, but you know what? Some people are very anxious. They actually arrive at the visitor center. They took my ticket. How am I going to get back? You know, so I don't understand. I mean, because I'm a local, I guess I don't look at tickets should just say return ticket. Like I don't.
Oh, I know.
I don't know.
But I mean, there's nothing new about this one. But like I say, everybody is happy when you tell them that they don't have to pay.
They are. They are.
So I mean, this is good, positive engagement at the end.
In a couple of years, we will have an actual terminal building down there. That BC Ferries is.
And they'll
is
start
investing
charging?
in. There'll be an
They're
actual
going to put
building.
a terminal.
And they want to do an actual, they might actually convey that a bit more clearly than they do right now. But that's actually feedback that could go to the FAC, the Ferry Advisory Committee. I mean, there's no reason why you can't print on the ticket, this is a return ticket.
Yeah, or when you're buying, you know, the fare and it
But
says
we
whatever,
start-
12 something,
Yeah.
return fare 12 something or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. I remember first trip I was here, we were panic stricken, sitting in a lineup thinking, are we gonna get stopped? You know,
Yeah,
because-
right. How did they take another $50 off us?
And
Yeah.
also, if you know it's a return ticket, it actually sets you up for a more pleasant trip. Because otherwise you think, I have to pay this, as you said, pay this to get back.
And that's what some people actually say, they go, oh, I thought it was kind of expensive, I'm gonna have to pay again, yeah. exactly.
Yeah. Okay? do
Well,
have
thank you
one?
very much,
Yeah,
that's
thanks, Jody.
wonderful. Thanks for fitting me in, I appreciate that.
No problem, and good luck with it.
Thank you.
Come up with lots of good creative stuff.
And hold on to your cash.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Never give
exactly.
it back, never give it back.
Thank you. Have a great
Thanks, Jody.
day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so on to our action items. Did we do what we were to do? So it's on page 7 of our agenda.
Yeah.
So I did contact the Islands Trust to ask if they could provide me a sign for down in the Cove, and they're still really figuring out their branding. And Claire was to speak with Councillors Morrison and Fast, but I think that they're struggling with it at the moment, and it will come when it comes.
Okay.
And the moss growth experiment, I have no idea whether Councillor Mason had any fun with that.
I don't think she started it yet.
No,
Last
it's too
time I
dry.
looked at
It was
the
too
wall,
dry,
it was
yeah.
still too dry.
Yeah.
But I haven't given up on that one either.
Yeah.
I might still fool everybody and cheer down there with a blended full of.
Okay, science experiments.
You guys have a
Contest of snow cone improvements. This is why we were elected. Okay, meeting Ned Hodali, I don't think that has, I know that I haven't participated in that. Haven't heard back from Councillor Kale.
What was the safety concern?
Just people walking into the polls.
Right, but, okay,
We know what that would cost not to deal with.
yeah.
Architectural drawings with Mike Lightbody, I think
Yeah.
that's on the agenda.
Well, it just, all I can tell you is that Mike, I met with him, the plan at this time is to do exactly the same as the kiosk, except with lighter weight poles. And it would have a little tiny roof like that, and then a long roof like that, right? So, but otherwise, use the same colored materials, same depth, same layout, everything, except we would use trusses, a truss roof going down, rather than stick framing it the way that that one is. And so it's very clean, simple, straightforward, and it's just waiting on Mike to get it done, and he was very enthusiastic and going to run out and do that right now. And I haven't got an email back from him yet as far as why he hasn't seen it yet.
So busy. So I'm just wondering about, so in the kiosk, when you look through, there's the plexiglass window, and so then you see out through. So would there be open ends to
Everything
both
be
sides, so it just would be just a shot? sort
Yeah,
of
the
through
only,
there still?
the only thing under debate at the moment, the back wall that is facing the ramp, Mike had liked the idea of putting some kind of glass or plastic or something on there to look through, and I said, well, why? One, you're looking at that, and two, it's just gonna get dirty. And you're gonna have the railing sitting behind it, getting moldy, no one can get into it to clean it and all that sort of thing. Just kill that, let that be the back wall. The debate really is just to have the 6x6 posts at regular intervals with an infill of a 2x6 wall, or just build the whole thing as a 2x6 wall from end to end, and then have your beams coming back into it and your front posts, which would be every 8 or 10 feet or something along. So I don't know what he came up with. You know, I sort of said, you know, it's only two ways I can think of that you would think about doing it. So I would guess you'll do with the all timber frame construction and then infill with panels between the back posts on that side. But the ends, at this point, the ends are open and the front is open. There is the possibility that due to shear forces to keep things from blowing over, that you might need a wall going the other direction. And once you did one, it wouldn't matter anymore, right? Because you would have killed the view through that.
Mhm.
But,
Can you remind me what was the rough cost estimate for this?
well, we're thinking that we're gonna do it under $10,000.
And we don't have funds for that in the Snug Cove improvements.
We are at approximately, I just checked today, we're at around 10,000. We have about, there's still some invoices coming in though. So I would say we probably have about 3,500, 3,500 left in this year's budget. Yeah.
So we're looking at next year, are we, or?
See, we need our creative CAO.
We could go to council for approval of the funding in this year's budget and see, when we get to this point in the year normally, if there's any surpluses, especially in public works, we might be able to poach some of it.
Well, that would probably be wonderful for the folks who ride those scooters
Yeah, if
and
we-
bikes. I mean, this is the time of year to put something in, so
Right.
that it's going to be there for the rainy season.
Yeah, so if we
Whereas
can
doing it
possibly
next
get it done.
March, they're not going to have bankers, you know.
No, I get it, I get
A little too
it.
late.
But it's the same, if you actually hire people to do this, right? I mean, there's no way you're looking at $10,000, right? You're looking at a considerable amount of money, so.
So we need Dave French up there at the forefront doing another barn raising
Well,
exercise.
get Gary Ander.
You could get Gary Ander up
I've been talking to Gary about it. They built that, the one that used to, out by your house, where you used to live.
Oh, for the post
mail-
office boxes.
The post
yeah.
office
Those
box.
That's lovely.
That is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And you spent $1,500.
Really?
Yeah, because they milled all the wood themselves and all that sort of
Wow.
stuff, right? So all they did was they put down a concrete pad themselves and some metal roofing and supplied the lumber from off the line. I think it was that type of deal. So, but I said, how much did you spend? And they said, oh, it's getting up to about $1,500, I think. The guy had to throw in a couple $100 contribution.
Okay, action item, coerce Gary Ander.
Refer it to the Community Land Standing Committee, and then we can get John and Gary involved in doing it.
Yeah, right.
But
But
it
I
just,
don't anticipate a problem. It's not really a very big job, right, especially with trusses. If you get 4 guys that know what they're doing and 6 guys who don't, it's a pretty straightforward job.
that would be great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was just thinking if the ends do have to be closed in, then there's no need for that window in
Right.
the kiosk, which would increase the amount of space available for some other materials and
Yeah, except
information.
that it's so handy to actually see where the ferry is from inside the building. Like that really is very reassuring to people, that there's a window here and I can see the ferry coming.
So hopefully
Yeah, we don't want to-
yeah,
we don't
'cause-
want to
and it
block
also
it,
does
no
give this, it is a nice vista, like you see
Yeah.
through there, as you say, you see the ferry, you see the mountains, like it sort of
Yeah,
opens it up a
So-
lot down there, so. and
so the
you'll see-
intent, if no structural engineer tells us we have to,
Mhm.
then we will
Just leave it open.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the original drawings I had with it as a shed did have it open. It just had a whole bunch of collar beams going across to pull it together. So,
It would be lovely to see this in court.
yeah, I'll keep bugging Mike.
Yeah, please do. And then the last item in the action items was to follow up with Glenn Cormier regarding the cup wall, but it sounds as though events have moved forward there.
I think we might as well wait and see what the man is doing before we get too engaged in the thought of a mural.
Okay, so item 4.2, the major projects review. I just added in some additional pictures of where things were at for the Snug Cove house site, the pub, the distillery, and Cove Commons. Those are on page 13. But I wanted to just go through the list to make sure that what I'm saying here is actually still accurate. So on the first page with the bike park, we had the design plan approved by council at our last meeting, so the build is actually this fall.
Yes.
Yep, great. And Snug Cove House, they're still site prepping and talking.
Well, I think they've got their surveying done now, and they're offering the lots for sale. They're very, very close to it.
Okay. And then Area 1 on the market, we've got the blasted wall, the shotcrete later in the agenda, so just leave that. Museum and Archives, they've done a ton of tree clearing and cleanup. My understanding from last night's Heritage Commission meeting is that sort of what's next on their horizon is connecting up to the sewer. And they may be having conversations with planning and with us about the cost of that project.
Yeah.
So to come. The parking lot, did Bob expand that?
No, I don't think anything's happened on it.
Okay. So that's to come. And pub, likely opening 2018, Bellman building, public hearing pending, Davies Orchard, Metro Parks, going to the, we'll go in October, so that's incorrect. The distillery project, they're still slated, correct me if I'm wrong with any of these, I'm just running through. The distillery project is still slated for summer 2018, Cove Commons for fall 2017, maybe winter 2018.
It's,
They also have the sewer issue to deal with.
yeah, so it's supposed to open January 1/18.
Okay. Cardina Corner, where is that at?
Yeah, good question. I've talked to Bob about it, and we'll theoretically sometime in September, just gonna go in there with a big machine and start clearing it back from the corner and leveling it up.
I think the community might have a collective heart attack.
So will the CEO?
What's that?
I think it needs to come before council first.
Well, the idea being just to see where we are, just move the concrete block back if need be. But we want to get that hydro flow out of there.